Testing. Take 2 of the podcast. Inside Ignite episode. Let's see if this is working. StreamYard, who we use, is having some difficulties. And basically said, oh, you might not be on Facebook anymore. You may continue to have issues. So thankfully, my wife came down to let us know we were not on there. She is the doer and shaker of all things Let's Legalize Wisconsin and the podcast. So thank you for that, hun. Let's see if we are now working. Hopefully we are good to go. If that does that again, me and Tim are just going to talk some quick questions and then we'll upload to you guys if this isn't working. But wife gave me a thumbs up, so I think we're working. If you guys are here, if you want to drop a comment. Otherwise, we are still recording on the air. So let's get things rolling and talk some cannabis in the state of Wisconsin, otherwise known as hemp, with Mr. Tim. Tim, how we doing, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for having me on, Bobby.
Again, I think it's you, man. I've never seen this before, Tim. I'm really let down, but we're going to try and truck through this, eh?
Yeah. No, welcome to technology in the 21st century.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. You jinxed it before we started. So, yeah. All right, they're back. Let's go. All right, Tom's late for class. Get it together, Tom. So Tim was just sharing a little bit about his personal experience and how cannabis has been able to help him out in a few different areas, like a lot of us, as far as, you know, not medically prescribed, obviously being in Wisconsin, but just finding that that little getaway / like, I love that, you know, it slows my brain down. So for me, it's that relaxing feeling that really does it for me. And we share kind of a similar way at that. Heather's back. Yeah, everyone's back. All right, let's get into this, Tim. Good. Let's go over. We had some questions coming across from the folks when we told them we were going to be on tonight. So could you give us a brief overview of Ignite Dispensary and Cigar's mission and how it aligns with the current cannabis market here in Wisconsin?
You know, number one is, you know, we pride ourselves on our quality and education. We want to be, you know, that high-end shop. We want 80-year-old grandma feeling very comfortable coming into our stores. You know, we have sleek designs, you know, just cleanliness, you know what I mean? There's a lot of not so reputable shops out there, you know, selling just junk garbage products without lab testing, things like that. So, you know, again, we pride ourselves on our quality and education, and that's gone very far with us. Just making sure we educate people, because then they refer their loved ones, and it helps to change that stigma. You know what I mean? Sure. In regards to the devil's lettuce, let's just call it. Yeah. You know, I try to get on podcasts like this to educate people, talk about it. There's another one called Dried and Wire. I try to meet with a lot of my local representatives and things like that. So, you know, we got into this to help people. Number one, cannabis has really helped me in my life. Whether that's just with, you know, not being able to sleep, or like alcoholism, things like that. You know, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for cannabis.
I felt that, man. Yeah. And I was just thinking about, you know, with the primary yesterday, and just looking at a lot of people complaining today as far as some of the politicians that are out there and all that. And I think Wisconsin really is hindered. Like, if you really think about it, we should not be one of the last states to legalize, because if anything, if people actually experience, I mean, we're probably the most experienced state with alcohol in the worst way possible. Yeah. And if you were to, I know so many people, like myself included, that have gone down that path, and it's just, it doesn't actually help me like escape or help me get away. It just always created anxiety, depression, loud, obnoxious. Like, it's just really frustrating, and it's got to be similar for you.
Cannabis is the only thing that can help people that comes from nature. You know, everything else is man-made, including alcohol. It has to be fermented. You know, we have a nun that comes into one of our stores and buys some gummies for the neuropathy in her feet. And, you know, God put this plant on the earth for a reason. Genesis, I can't remember the quote. I'm sorry. But, you know, and it's true. You know what I mean? Like, you know, alcohol is a poison. That's what gets you drunk. It's a poison. You're poisoning yourself. And trust me, I went down that road with the amount of grief and trauma I've been through in my life. And, you know, again, if it wasn't for cannabis, I wouldn't be here or as strong as I am today.
Sure. That's awesome, man. And it's really cool, real quick, that we're kind of in that same boat as far as, you know, you found something that helps you, but you didn't just stop at that. Like, there's a lot of, and you're a pretty smart man, smart businessman, that kind of thing. Like, there's a lot of opportunity out there. If you just were looking to make a shit ton of money, you could be doing that. But to see people that get that effect, that connection with cannabis and want to share it, so mad props to you for that, man.
Right.
And your stores definitely represent what you're trying to get across. So, what would you say? I'm sure you run into a few of these from time to time. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen Ignite Dispensary face when operating in Wisconsin, given the current legal framework here in the state?
Just lack of understanding and knowledge from people, not knowing, like the differences and things like that. There's definitely a lack of regulation. I'm not pro regulation by any means, but we desperately need some in this space.
Sure.
And hopefully we can get ahead of that a little bit. Not being able to produce a lab report and things like that. I mean, my company spends thousands and thousands of dollars. My wife's company spent over $50,000 on lab reports last year. Because they went, they do full panel testing, all the way down to the microbes, heavy metals, things like that. Like, we make sure that the product that we are putting in your hands is quality, unlike these other shops that just are trying to make a buck and have all these cartoon characters on them and things like that, So
Unfortunately, you do see too much of that out there. Tom was wondering, Ignite has a store on Water Street, right? That's your Mantua or Milwaukee, right? Uh-oh. Did I disconnect, or is Tim frozen for a minute? I do believe that is their Milwaukee location. Great storefront. I've gotten great products there, says Tom. One reason why cannabis is not legal in Wisconsin is misinformation, as Tim noted. 100% with you there, man. And that's what's really neat about seeing these places that are in it for the right reasons. Again, such as Tim, like education, you can just tell when you walk in there. That is the first thing, is checking with the customer in a polite way to, like, what's your knowledge level? Not, what you want, how mad do you want to get messed up or whatever. Like, Tim, that is you guys in Milwaukee on Water Street, right? Oh, he froze again. Oh. Oh. I think we're still live. You guys still hear me? We got Bubba in the house. Javin's in Mad City. Oh, he's traveling. Right on.
Are you back?
Yep. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right. Good deal.
Cool.
We've got Bubba says I'm too high. Bubba, calm down over there. We've got, how does Ignite Dispensary ensure product quality and consistency across its offerings? I know a big one of those obviously would be the COA. I know there's a lot of places out there that just do more so a potency test, and it seems like they do it like once every 2 years. Do you have like a kind of specific regime that works for you guys over there?
Are we locked up again? Can you hear me?
Oh, okay. Now you're unlocked.
So, we always, like, in a lot of our products, we always do a full panel test, like, which is awesome, for the heavy metals and things like that, and that's on the raw ingredients. And then, we have to do it at least once a year due to our banking and credit card regulations. But usually we're a little more often than that. But for sure annually.
That's awesome to hear that you do that heavy metals testing too, because unfortunately there's a lot out there that do not. And again, you guys don't even have to be doing that technically because there's no regulation. So kudos to you guys for doing that, obviously, and taking care of people's concerns that they may have. Can you share any insights into the most popular products at Ignite Dispensary and Cigar? I think I might know what they would be, but what's your take?
Well, number one, our flower. We pride ourselves on our boutique flower. None of it's infused. It's grown. It's done the proper way, things like that. We buy only the highest terpenes for our infused type of product flower. And then obviously, our gummies are going to be one of the biggest ones. We actually have a 30 milligram true live rosin gummy that is probably one of our best sellers. There's a lot of companies out there that claim live rosin, but you dig into the lab report and it's just terps, you know what I mean? So, and then obviously, the beverages, this is my wife's company. She's one of the founders of it. We have partners, obviously, but Balanced Naturals. So very high-end, high-quality boutique line. We also have like our Foundry Nation type drinks. I know you are your float flavor of this one.
Yes.
This one's a cherry.
Cherry. All right. Uh-oh. See, anytime we start talking top-notch products, man, FBI, I swear, is watching.
Yeah, they don't want us talking, do they?
They don't. They're like, hey, you try to sneak a product on their beans? What are you doing?
Right.
No, but no, I think it's a really cool too because you're looking at the two different approaches as far as like balance. You're talking super low sugar, that kind of thing, and then you've also got that like, oh, you want something absolutely freaking delicious? Here's a root beer float, you know. So definitely recommend if you buy any of the stores. It's beautiful to see the selection when you walk in because I think it says a lot about you guys too. You carry a lot of what would be considered competitors.
Oh yeah.
Which is awesome to A, offer to customers, but also B, if you get a chance to try a competitor and try one of these, I think you'll be coming back for those. So that's a fair and smart move.
You know, and that's one thing when you talked about testing and stuff. I mean, we went through like 11 different labs before we found the certain labs because, you know, some companies that make this D9, boy, does it talk about taste like aspirin. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you'll notice it because they have to hide the flavor inside. You know, they use ingredients to hide that flavor. You know, that's not something that we have to do, which is nice.
Nope. Right on, man. Dennis was curious, do you guys do herbicide, pesticide, and PGR panels as well?
I mean, it's the full panel test. So yes, it does test for pesticides.
Okay.
I don't necessarily know herbicides specifically, but it does have pesticides, heavy metals, things like that. And again, that's, you know, on the raw ingredients.
Sure. Nope, right on.
You know, and that's the thing about our gummies too. You know, we use all natural ingredients, tapioca, you know, flavorings, things like that. You know, much higher quality than these garbage sugar gummies that you can find out there.
Yeah, there are some that I take a bite and it's like I go back to Pixie Stick. You know, remember?
Or it's hard as a rock. Or
yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Right on. We've got. How does Ignite Dispensary source its cannabis products and what criteria are used to select suppliers? Obviously, you don't need to tell us directly how you figure out these nice places to work with, but I'm assuming it's not just, oh, that one's the cheapest, we're going with them.
No, and that's what our competitors do, and they just pick the cheapest thing out there, you know, and that's not what we're at. You know, how we select and the criteria is very carefully. You know, there's tons of products that get sent our way, and I'm like, pull up, you know, the lab test or, you know, there's no QR code on it, you know, this, that, or the other. But then, you know, lots of my bigger suppliers, I do in-person, you know, inspections. Basically, I see how it's done, this, that, you know. You know, to be honest with you, you know, I've ran into so many problems with that, with a lot of the junk. And I mean, in this business, you know, there's a lot of stoners in this business. You know, I'm a businessman, but I do like to smoke as well. So I'm looking for like-minded people that are, you know, that care about quality and want to, like, you know, do good business together too.
Awesome. So, yeah, and you can see it when you're in the shop there as far as the selection. It starts with the flower, then to go to the edibles, and then again the drinks. You gotta check out the drinks. It's awesome. And then Manitowoc is that the only spot with the lounge right now?
Yeah, so we launched a canna cava lounge in the back there, super chill vibe. You know, again, we opened up in Manitowoc, and I think 5 or 6 stores opened up after us. You know, competition's quite fierce in that town, you know, but we set ourselves apart. Again, you know, we are the go-to place for the highest end products out there. So
right on, man. Yeah. David, I'll get you the quickest explanation I can on this because we could do a whole podcast on that. But you keep hearing or reading the term terpenes. What's the difference between terpenes and cannabis? The way I described it is, or that I like to describe it is, if you think of like your Delta 8 or your Delta 9, your THC or your CBD kind of being like the car going down the highway as far as the effects you get from it, and the terpenes are controlling the steering wheel. So there's a lot of different, like if you get sleep gummies that don't have any cannabis in them, you'll see a lot of them now have, oh man, it's been a hot minute. I haven't.
Well, ours has, like, our tincture has linalool or linalool.
There it is, linalool. Yeah. So basically
it's the plant terpene of lavender. Lavender helps you sleep. Yep. Think of terpenes as the building blocks of essential oils.
There you go.
You know, and this is something, like, just real quick, just before I forget this, because this is something I just learned. You can literally, if you smell the flower that you want to buy or whatever, whichever one smells the best to you, that's the terpenes that your body wants.
And that can change, right? I think I remember hearing that. Like this week might be different than a couple weeks from now or something.
And what I look forward to, you know, in the future, the biggest thing about having regulation is, or having legal stuff, is being able to control it. You know, sativas, indicas. You hear all these people, oh, I tried that in college. Well, let me guess, you tried it when you're drinking. You can't do that unless you're professional. Number 2, you probably smoked a super high sativa strain and sat your butt on the couch. Can't do that. It's going to make you paranoid. You're going to make your heart race, this, that, or the other, right?
Right.
In the future, right now, people buy it on sativa indica hybrid, right?
Yep.
In the future, though, you are going to be buying your cannabis based on the terpene profiles.
I agree. I definitely think that's a thing, and it would make sense as we learn more about the plant. That's what's really neat too. Is like you're just talking about like the linalool that helps with sleep that is found in the lavender plant, but it's also in certain strains of cannabis. It's so crazy when we think about how complex the cannabis plant is, and then we can take there's like the peppercorn and there's so many different terpenes that you can find in individual plants, but then this crazy plant in cannabis can have different values of it's crazy.
And we're learning about cannabinoids day.
Yeah, every day, man. It just keeps going. We lost you here for a hot second. We'll let you reconnect. Let me see where we were at next. Oh, here we go. Let's see.
All right. All right. Oh, am I back?
You're back.
So let me just finish this point. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, 113 different cannabinoids in the cannabis plant that we know of so far, but we're learning new ones every day. So like the one that I'm like really digging into now is what's called cannaflavin B. Cannaflavin B would be, think of what THCP is to Delta 9. THCP is 30 times Delta 9.
Yeah.
Cannaflavin B is 30 times like ibuprofen. It is extremely, extremely anti-inflammatory and stuff. And I mean, we're just learning about this stuff now. So I'm so excited for what the future holds. However, there's only like one lab that does it, and it's $1,000 a gram.
Well, of course. That's crazy. Another question that folks were asking here, Tim, how does where to go here? What role does Ignite see itself playing in the potential future legalization of cannabis in Wisconsin?
I hope we can contribute as much as possible. A lot of our not necessarily competitors, but there's good people in this industry. There's a lot of talk. We heard insider information that some legislatures are going to try, throwing a lot of bans on, like how Illinois is doing and stuff like that. And we want to try to get ahead of that with some common sense, regulations. 21 plus. It has to have a COA on it. No cartoon characters. Again, I get on a lot of these podcasts. I'm on Dryden Wire. Dryden Wire is a very political, like there's sheriffs on there. There's, all the politicians are on there. I meet with politicians in my stores. I show them around. I talk to them about this, and just the freedom on how this can help people. So,
and again, when I kind of took a step back when I was in the industry, try to figure out my role. What I feel like would really help if things were actually, if the government actually cared, these politicians really cared and really wanted to get educated, really wanted to learn, like cannabis is there's so much involved with cannabis. It shouldn't just be, oh, no, my party doesn't like it, or, oh, my party's all for it. There's a lot to learn. They don't have to learn everything, but where I'm trying to get to is like, there is no, like council in Wisconsin. There's no real, like, as we know, there's gas stations and how many red flag stores selling this stuff, where when we can try to get folks like yourself who, 21 plus, no brainer, right? But there's still places selling it that they'll sell it to a 14-year-old. Like, and I would hope that in the future, and hopefully the near future, when they're looking to move things forward, if they had half care in the world, it would be, hey, Tim, we see what you're doing. Explain it to us again. Okay, this is a guy we need on our side helping us figure this out. He's not just in this selling anything to everyone. He's got, you know what I mean? So
just to that point, one other thing that I do law enforcement training on hemp and CBD products. I've met and taught ATF agents. I have talked to drug task force people. I've actually done a lot of law enforcement education on that, telling them
that's awesome, man.
Spot differences, things like that, So, because in my world, they just need to legalize this, take the tax revenue, split it between lowering property taxes, putting it towards the highway, and law enforcement to get this fentanyl crap out of our lives. I mean, this is horrible. I mean, there's so much resources wasted on a plant that's been around for 2,000 years and has been used medically until the 30s,
Right. I hear it, man. Well, keep it up. Keep it up. We're gonna figure this thing out. We're really glad to have you as an ally with our grassroots movement here, Tim. We've got. Is it basically? I think what they're trying to get at here is if it's what is Ignite Dispensary's approach to customer feedback and how is it used to improve the business? I think being in this industry where there was a lot of misinformation and a lot of people who aren't, like you said, playing by the rules or know even what they're selling. I'm assuming you still have a lot of people out there that don't know the potential of the products you sell. Is customer feedback kind of the main way to improve that?
Absolutely, and I'll tell you this from the beginning. So back in 2018, when we first started selling products, I feel like I did a disservice to a lot of people that wanted to try CBD because we didn't know though. So we would start somebody like myself. Let's call me 200 pounds. I'd start myself on a 500 milligram tincture. If I didn't feel anything, tell me to raise my dosage. That doesn't work. You know what I mean? These old timers. Oh, I tried that. That's snake oil. Well, number one, you probably bought it from a gas station, so it doesn't have CBD in it at all. Number two is you only tried it for a couple days. It doesn't work like that. It can take 30 to 60 days to build up in your system. Right. So now what I do is for somebody like me, if I'm a new CBD customer and you come into my store and want to try this, and I want to make sure you give it the good college try. So I don't want you to start with gummies. I don't want you to start with drinks. I don't want you to start with anything. So what we do, I will sell you a 25. I would sell myself a 2,500 milligram tincture at 20% off, and I would get a second bottle for free. That way, I know that you are jacking yourself up with these cannabinoids, and you're giving it the good college try for 2 months. After those 2 months, if you want to supplement with a drink or a gummy, I could care less. But at least then I know, and you will know for sure whether this will work for you or not.
That is awesome.
The other point about this is they were talking about that, not every CBD seems to work better for certain things. Like anxiety and depression is definitely more isolate. Chronic pain is definitely more, full spectrum. And how we figured this out, I had this woman that had spinal fusion surgery and she was in physical therapy. The person asked her, do you use CBD? Have you tried it? Because she was in a lot of pain. She's like, yeah, I'm on it. She got it from me. The person called me up and I found out and she was on an isolate tincture. So then I got her a bottle of full spectrum and she's like, okay, now this is helping me with my pain, but it's not helping me with my sleep and anxiety. So now she uses isolate in the morning and full spectrum at night. Wow. One of my biggest probing questions to anybody that comes into my store that wants something for sleep or whatever is, do you use cannabis on a regular basis? Somebody like me, that 0.3 is not going to help me sleep at all. But somebody like my mother or whatever knocks her right out. You know what I mean? So I have to use an isolate-based tincture for my sleep with linalool in it, which like our bear has.
Uh-oh. Filling the space. He's going to be back in just a second. I can feel it.
Sorry.
No, you're good, man.
All right. That's how.
Bubba, you just chillax over there. Why not give high doses of THC orally? Works 100 times better than CBD for inflammatory issues. It's not that psychoactive. There has been some more studying on THCA for sure, as far as in the non-ignited state, non-lighting it up. And that definitely is seemingly a great aspect as well. Tim, have you guys have you dived in much about THCA in the raw form as far as like tincture or anything? We had Dennis asking. It's the man. I think it's because Tim is too on point. Like they can't handle this. Like usually I'm kind of all over the place. Tim is locked in, knowledgeable, and easy to understand. Thank you, Tim, for that. But no, real quick, the THCA Dennis was asking, is that anything that you guys have tried as far as like a similar approach as to how people use CBD?
I'm sorry, you got to ask that again. It froze. What?
You're good. THCA in the raw form, as far as like a CBD alternative.
Well, I mean, you're going to get psychoactive properties with the THCA. That's the one thing, like I had to like really hammer into my employees. Like somebody comes in for anxiety, you do not want to sell them a Delta product. Like you want a CBD flower, CBD vape. I mean, like my veterans, the amount of veterans that I helped with their PTSD issues by just smoking hemp flower is crazy, and or vaping it. THCA, it's fun. It's more of a fun cannabinoid. Like I feel like Delta 8 is more like pain and sleep. So like I hope that they don't ban it. I just hope that they regulate it. You know what I mean? Because every cannabinoid is good for something. THCV, good for appetite suppression and ADHD. You know what I mean? So THCA is more the fun thing, and I mean it's pretty much almost the real stuff. It's just that the high doesn't last as long.
I think what he's talking about, I saw this last time I was in Higher Love. They have the like CBD tablets, CBG. Then there was THCA, and it was non-intoxicating. So I think it's still a newer thing that I don't even understand because I think it's something that might be up and coming. But he said THCA in the raw form is very good for inflammatory issues and not psychoactive. But I got to do a little more studying on that because we know what THCA flower is for sure, right?
Right.
As far as the benefits that are along with that.
I mean, for THCA to even work, it has to be decarboxylated usually. But so that's something, I've seen THCA in edible forms, but most people don't get any help
kind
from
of relief.
No relief from it that I've noticed. At least the feedback I've been getting from our the feedback that our store has been getting from our customers, I haven't heard much of that. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
But
I'm always interested.
Right. Real quick, Tim, I got a couple more here for you, man. We've got, how does Ignite Dispensary handle the educational aspect of cannabis, particularly for customers who are new? You kind of touched on that as far as I think that, because I definitely learned that early on in my retail days, or whatever you would like to call that, as far as the hemp industry, the variables when people consume hemp, cannabis, whatever form of the plant it may be. So I think the teacher thing is great. But then as far as like when THCA came out, or when a new cannabinoid comes out, is it usually kind of like you'll get something to sample between the workers and then test it out, and then if it works out, then you're going to start educating the folks on it? Or I guess let's maybe kind of look at the question that way.
It's kind of hard to answer it like that. I mean, what I can tell you is that every single employee gets, an extensive education. Basically the same types of education that we would do for law enforcement or whatever. I mean, they dive into terpenes. I mean, hours and hours of education to learn about this stuff and like what works best for what. New cannabinoids hitting. I mean, there hasn't really been too much that I know, but at least lately, you know what I mean? But we really dive into that, like CBN, for an example. CBN, is great for a lot of people that like to sleep, but for some people, it can give them major depression, like myself. I mean, I can't take super high doses of CBN. It makes me sad.
I can't wake up if I take like a normal CBN.
It makes me sad.
Delta 9. Yeah, it makes me sad. Fair enough. Bubba says he wanted to comment quick. I would like to talk about the drops I got for my dog. He says he took him off, phenobarb, and put him on the full spectrum drops for dogs and no more seizures.
It's I can't tell you how much CBD works for dogs. A lot, especially end of life, things like that. I mean, my friend was having a Yorkie. She was having 5 seizures a day, and then she was down to like 3 a week after we put him on the CBD tincture. For their coats, my German Shepherd was dying, and I got him X-rayed, and the vet couldn't believe that he could still walk because the arthritis was so bad. And I was like, well, I know why he can walk, because I've had him on CBD this entire time.
Right.
Storms, especially, like I give my dog CBD every day, but a storm or fireworks come through, I literally go and give it a little squirt. I can tell you this, you can't really go too far in overdosing. My dog accidentally ate a package and ate 150 milligrams of CBD because he was walking down the trail like this. It was on accident. He stole the package off the thing, and he was lethargic, but he was restful. He
was restful. I bet he was. The damn dogs in their nose, I tell you, man.
Right.
I got 2 more here for you, Tim. What kind of partnerships or collaboration has Ignite Dispensary formed, and how do they benefit both parties? Both parties. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I like to work with like-minded people that care about quality and stuff like that. Craig Sutherland, Sutherland CBD up in Superior. He's a good guy. Brian Thomas up at Bent Paddle in Duluth. He's a really good guy, does things really, really well. And of course, Balance and Foundry, which is Global Organic out of Minneapolis. I mean, they are, they have an ISO 9000 pharmaceutical grade USDA certified organic lab with a biochemist on staff. I mean, you can't get
There's probably not too many of those out there in the hemp industry.
You cannot get cleaner than that. And like somebody asked, how do I control my quality control? Make sure there's no hairs in my stuff, this, that, or that. We're not we're not filling these things in our back room or whatnot. We actually have full on, certifications for that stuff.
That's awesome. Bubba says he's going to come see you. You're going to need a few guys behind the counter. Bubba asks lots of tough questions. So, no, Bubba's the man.
That's all right. That's all right. Have them go through it with these employees. There are a couple new ones that we haven't gotten totally trained yet, but definitely we try.
No, definitely, man. And again, guys, just a reminder, if you check out the website, you guys have most of your product on there, correct, Tim?
Most of it, yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool. I'm gonna paste that in the comments. I gotta do them separate. So there's to the website, because Facebook doesn't like the word dispensary and then a promo code. But use code LLW20, get you 20% off your first order. If you want to check out their products, but if you want to get the extensive lineup and really, ideally you're located, or even if you're within an hour of these guys, it'll be worth the drive. Just because, again, the education you can get from the folks behind the counter, the product lineup, I'm sure it'd be hard to keep that all updated on the web. So I'm going to guess there's a few more options in the store. THCA probably don't do too much shipping of that.
No. Yeah. I don't. No. Yeah. I don't. There's a few, there's definitely lines you don't cross. There's a lot of people that will ship the THCA and don't really agree with a lot of that. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of bad junk out there, man.
If my ass was on the line, if I owned a company, I would not be shipping it. That's just me myself, because we
are like the most above the board legit company around, and I truly, truly believe that because of all what we do and the quality and stuff. And even we have problems, we've been dropped by 2 credit card processors, payroll companies, the banks out in Bismarck. I got denied by 12 banks. The 13th bank out there makes me do annual inspections, send them quarterly lab reports, and they charge me $500 just to have a checking account out there. And we are literally the only licensed retail store in the state out there, because we have our processor's license. So it's just crazy the industry and the hoops that you got to jump through and stuff like that. So
right. Well, awesome. Again, Tim, really appreciate you being a part of the show, of the movement.
Yeah.
Spending some time with us here today. The countless times, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little closer to one of your stories. Every time I stop in, the staff is excited about a new product. They hook it up. They're like, "Hey, check this out. Let folks know what you think about it." Like, I really think you guys are doing it the right way. There's no way to know for sure, but I would sure think at some point that's really going to pay off in the way things go forward. If anybody out there in the political, or we have to rely on politicians because there's no law for it right now. So that's who I'm thinking at this time. But if you're looking to do anything cannabis in Wisconsin and you want to get shit set up the right way, talk to Tim.
He's absolutely. I've already spoke with multiple politicians. We lost $35 million to Illinois alone in tax revenue last year. The estimate is $165 million in tax revenue. Imagine how much, extra they could, provide for law enforcement, provide for our highways, lower property taxes, and invest in rehab facilities for these hard drugs, right?
Yep.
And it's coming. You just got to get the big boys involved in this and stuff like that. We can talk about this. People are like, is the farm bill gonna, get rid of this type of thing? And it's been scary, when you've got this much money on the line to do this type of stuff. But, especially in the beverage world, with people not drinking as much and everything else, these liquor stores, Diego was down 7-9% or whatever last quarter, or whatever, so all these distributors and liquor people, they're starting to get into these beverages now and things, Balance and Foundry, we're in Total Wine now, you know what I mean? Because we teach them, and we got in there because we educate them, you know what I mean? Right. most companies don't do that. They just put out a product, hopefully it sells, and go from there.
Pedal. There's a lot of peddlers out there, right?
Right. Yep.
Well, thanks again, Tim. Much appreciated. We'll be in touch, sir. Hopefully you have a great evening. We've got the link to the information on our Facebook page as well. Thank you, everybody, for stopping out. Sorry again for some technical issues with StreamYard here. Technology, what can we say, folks? Unfortunately, it's here to stay. But it allows me to still talk to you guys too. So it has some pluses and minuses. But all right, everybody, have a great evening. Thanks for joining the podcast.
We're
out of here, guys.